morning, everyone, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. It is my great pleasure, blessing, honor, humble honor to welcome Reverend Dr. David Leonard, one of my dearest friends. David Leonard and I have been working together, providing the Circle of Love gathering and that immersion in the love for about 18 years. David Leonard, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it's been a joy working with you for almost 20 years.
Almost 20 years. Yeah.
I shared with Lisa that my favorite quote that I do in my wedding ceremonies, it says, "Divine love brings together and maintains together those who belong together." And I'm really privileged that for almost 20 years, we've maintained this connection that's based on serving the love. Yeah. Lisa and I are really big about serving this thing that has filled us to overflowing and to offer it to the world. And so we collaborate really well together, this lady and myself. We've done some heavenly events, haven't we?
Yes. Yeah. And when we could do them together again in form and in person, boy, that'll be such a pleasure. Yeah. We were talking a little bit about SoulCall Ministries right before we got on to the call and what it is and how it's serving the world in the way and the expression. You quoted something beautiful from Emerson. You're just your mind it's genius. I don't want to talk too much. I want for everybody to know just how it comes through you in its unique way. Your soul calling is served every time you open your mouth.
As a little boy growing up in the Christian church, the one thing that was said that made sense to my little boy, and I know it made sense to your little girl, was when they said, "What does it profit man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul?" So at the earliest stages as a little boy, I thought this thing called soul is really, really important. And then when I evolved and I was studying Emerson, he said, "At last, nothing is sacred. Nothing is sacred but the integrity of your own soul." So here he's pointing again toward this vibrational something, this eternal something that was never born and never dies. And if we don't discover what it wants to express, like you said, from the genius, it comes out as wisdom. We have the writings of Einstein. It's so amazing. After he died, his letters came out through his daughter, and he talked about the greatest force on the universe is love. This is coming from Einstein. And your talk on quantum entanglement was brilliant. I don't know how you dealt with such a complicated, but it came through your radiant musical soul. And that's how the soul communicates. It knows how to communicate in a language that finds meaning. Ram Dass said, the soul wants to find meaning in things, whereas the intellect wants to find answers. And when you have a SoulCall ministry, you're offering people meaning, not necessarily answers, because answers are like opinions. Everybody has them, and your opinion or is not going to be for everyone. But right. The soul will assist you in discovering what is the meaning during these times. And we need the soul's message more than ever. So I thank you for doing this.
Oh,
it's really quite beautiful. Yeah.
It's been my vision since I was 9 years old. And then I founded SoulCall in 1999. And I was thinking, what in the world? And shortly after that, I met you. And, all of these things started to fall into place. And then it just became readily apparent right now with this global pandemic that the timing was exactly it with the technology we have to reach the world, a global community, which is what we are essentially. And I know you're going to be joining us on Sunday morning. Sunday morning for SoulCall Sundays is 9:00 on Sunday mornings. David Leonard is going to be the special guest speaker, and we're going to have a longer period of not even question and answer. I'm just going to say one word and let David continue to talk about how we can use the wisdom of the soul, how we tap into it to bring forth some soothing for the soul and the expression of the human being during this challenging time. What might you speak to something to help us get through this week? They're talking about opening the borders again and opening the world for us to physically move around and be in proximity to one another again. That's terrifying for some people. The not being close together is terrifying for other people.
Well, I think it's really important that we observe our mind and where it goes. If the mind gets fixated myopically on what's happening all around us, then we can scare ourselves. But if we can pull within to the eye of the storm and paradoxically see that this is a wake-up call for humanity.
Yeah.
I'm seeing through the soul's wisdom that we're all coming together as one people living on one planet, one family. And I think that has something to do with the way we've abused our planet, the animals. And so the consciousness is waking up. That which was once asleep. There's a wonderful poet named William Stafford, and he closed a poem once, and it went like this. It is very important for those who are awake to stay awake, because these are very dark times. And so my little soul reminds me, I'm here to stay awake. I'm here to see the possibilities. I'm here to see how this is for humanity, so we can wake up from our unconscious patterns. And, you know, I believe we create everything. It's all consciousness. And somehow unconsciously, we as a species created a pandemic so we can navigate through it. And it may be for us for a while. Yeah. And that's what you're saying. We're going to be living with this. What do they say? The new normal is the new abnormal. And so we're not going to be able to be doing the hugs and the handshakes. And I'm beginning to wonder if I'll ever do Sunday services again in my sanctuary. Yeah. I do my live streaming with an empty room. And it's really bizarre. But in a strange sort of way, I feel there's an intimacy, because I'm looking like in your eyes right now, and I'm in virtual world with you. And there's something beautiful. I've been listening to John Kabat-Zinn. He does a thing Monday through Friday for 120 different countries, over 20,000 people. Then he posts it on YouTube. He's reaching this global audience. And what I get from this, watching this, is that we're all in this together. Whether you're a woman in Paris, France, who has COVID-19, and he met her with such an open-hearted, compassionate sharing. And when she was feeling down on herself, he said to this lovely lady, one of the most beautiful organic prayers, he says, we're all holding you in that field of love. Exactly what you talked about, that quantum field of love. When you can't hold yourself, let us hold you. Let us see your perfection. Let us see your beauty. So something beautiful is happening.
Yeah,
through this.
SoulCall Ministries is just that, like creating the global community to hold each other and to recognize that we've always been this way. And I think part of the challenge, what you're saying, is the new normal is the abnormal. It doesn't feel normal to not be able to go out and congregate in small groups,
right,
or large groups. You know, the larger, even if it's 1,000 people, it's not as large as a global consciousness, which we're always participating with, whether we fully realize it or not. And I think that's, to your point, like our senses can deceive us into thinking our way is the way, because this group of people, we get into the energy of that. We're being pulled to a greater, and I do it like this, but it's also greater, like this. It's that internal, it's the calling of the soul. You're also a beautiful gardener. I've had the privilege of walking through your lovely garden all around your amazing home. And I remember you telling us a story about falling into a flower, and that's when I like to find out, like, what sparks the wisdom from within you. What is your soul calling? What was the first time you recognized, hey, there is something enormous inside of me that's...
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. I was sharing you, Emerson is one of my heroes, and he talks about prayer as the contemplation of the facts of life from a jubilant and beholden soul. And so we know what the facts are in the world. And to find this joyous soul, sometimes I have to turn to that inner child. And you reminded me of me falling into flowers. It's happened many times. It started when I was a little boy. I would be holding the flowers, and I would be the flower. And then, of course, people think you're crazy if you merge with flowers. So I had to wait till I was an adult till I started re-emerging with flowers because they pull me into them. We're not separate. In the Buddhist teaching, they have a concept of emptiness, and emptiness means there is no separate self. So when you look at something, you're seeing yourself. We're the tree, we're the flower, we're the world. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a better place. So let's start. And you know what I love about the SoulCall Ministries is getting clear for me. You're not in a container. Yeah. You're not a Christian or a Muslim you're a universal mystical container. And you know what mystics do? Mystics see things as connected. Everything is one. Whereas everybody else sees things as separate. My religion's better than yours. The mystic doesn't do that. Rumi, you're going to do a class on it. I bet that's going to be a brilliant, exciting class. Rumi said, I'm Muslim and I'm Christian and I'm Jewish and I'm none of these. In other words, you can bring them all in, but you're not bound by the container because spirit doesn't have a religion. I remember once I was speaking to the temple here in Huntsville, and I said, there are no chosen people. And then I thought they were going to stone me. But I was saying God doesn't have one people that he prefers over another. And there's a bigger picture. The rabbi laughed, of course.
Yeah,
But,
because he got it, right?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
It's a funny thing, because that is kind of it. Having had the opportunity to be in service to the one through so many different, because of the privilege of having a voice to sing.
Yes.
Singing its soul back to itself is kind of what Erika and I would always say. There was an opportunity for me to be in these different faith traditions, celebrating many different things from the time I was very young. And I saw the same God was woven through the whole of it. And that's when the hierarchy thing makes no sense to me. And so now serving with the heart of the mystic, that makes the most.
Yeah.
It makes the most sense and no sense at all, which is why I love it. It's a non-linear, it's a very concentric kind of an experience.
What's so beautiful, the trouble when you're in a container is that you have to maintain the container. Right. So if you're in a Christian container, you have to have Jesus as your personal savior. If you're in a Muslim container, you have certain restrictions. We know about those. Yeah. But in the soul doesn't know any of that. The soul is free by its very nature. The soul wants the deepest meaning and can see that thread of truth in everything. It was Oliver Wendell Holmes that said the truth is incontrovertible. And you and I are married to the truth. We're not married to the facts or to some religious doctrine, which is limited by its very concept of being a doctrine. Yeah. We're into this thing that's so much bigger than that. Yeah. And then you ponder the imponderable, not with your local mind, but with the open heart. Yeah. And then these revelations they're quantum. They never stop. I've been in ministry over 31 years, and it's more exciting now than it's ever been. Yeah. Because the soul is unfettered. It's not bound by, this is the company line that you have to preach. No, the soul is free by its very nature. Mm-hmm. And it wants this deepest sense of meaning. And if you open to the soul, it's going to have you. It was in the Gospel of Thomas. All the teachers, you mentioned the wisdom teachers, they all were saying the same thing. Jesus said in the Gospel of Thomas, if you liberate that which is within you, which is your soul, that which is within you will save you. If you do not liberate that which is within you, that which is within you will destroy you. Now, it's powerful language, but he's speaking. You've got to let this soul out. And Rumi said, we've all been given this incredible gift of the soul. And he said, if you do everything and you do not allow that gift to come forward, it's as if you threw this life away. It's as if someone gave you a beautiful silver scabbard and you nailed it on the wall and hung a potholder there. We're not here to put our soul on the wall. We're here to let this soul shine from within. And you do that so beautifully in your music, in your message, in your life, the way you've lived your life. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Gosh.
Your life is your message, Lisa. Your life is your message.
Thank you.
And you're one of my heroes. You're one of my heroes.
Oh my gosh.
Would you tell them that wonderful story of when your friend made her transition and she requested a Beatles song and the powers that be said, you won't
Okay. Not? To be continued. We're going to pick that up on Sunday.
Okay.
Once again, my guest, the beautiful, and he'll be back. Reverend David Leonard is not only a close personal friend, but he's also an advisor to me and SoulCall Ministries. And so he'll be in a lot, and I'm so grateful. What a blessing. And if you want to hear the story about standing up to the powers that be, tune in on Sunday, where Reverend David is going to be with us again, Reverend David Leonard. Thank you again. We'll see you SoulCall Sundays at 9:00 this coming Sunday, May 3rd. And if you want to sign up for the Rumi class Reverend David mentioned, go to soulcallministries.org and sign up for the class. It starts Monday, May 4th. And your donations and contributions help us to assist the global community during this time and as we evolve together in consciousness. I love you so much. See you on Sunday. All right. Thank you. Bye.